Hi. Peace and love, Stephen Walls. How are you? Yes. Peace and love, Ty. Y'all, I'm on here and I got a really quick message. I was going to record it, but it was just easier for me to go live. Bear with me a moment. Let me send out a push notification to everybody that is in the community and has downloaded the Spaces app. I often send out notifications. Yes, Ty, love. That's actually the topic. The topic is love, and it's definitely gonna go a place where you may not be expecting me to go, because I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting me to do this, but it's on my heart, and I'm sending a notification out now. So in case you didn't get it, I guess y'all did get it. So how y'all doing? While we here together, Stephen and Ty. Oh my goodness, I would have two masculines, the first ones on here with me. It's so interesting because what I'm about to share with you is really coming from my heart. And it may be difficult to hear, but if you just bear with me and sit with it, you may find something in it that will be transformative for you and profound. I'm glad you're awake too. Yeah. I think I'm feeling the full moon energy now because my sleep patterns are different, and that's okay. It happens. So yeah, I just sent that out. So for those of you who like, you didn't tell us you was going live, I did. So I hope y'all don't miss this. If you get on late, that's okay. I'll make sure that I keep the replay available. I'm gonna try to go through this information as quick as I possibly can because I do have class in the morning. But I wanted to say this. Do you all remember in the Matrix when the Oracle was teaching how to bend spoons? And I remember that scene being so profound for me. And literally, I went in the kitchen and got a spoon. And I really felt like I could do that. Like, am I the only one? I really felt like I could do that. And it's just always been this like childlike faith in myself to be able to do things that are considered to be something that you can't do. It's impossible. And so this conversation is about bending spoons, and I want to talk about the spoons. So I'm going to translate to you what that actually was. You too? Okay, yeah, yeah. So the ability for us to bend spoons is actually the ability for us to not be rigid in life. Okay, I'm not the only one. Yeah, it's just like, let me go get my spoon. Yeah, but you can, and I'm going to tell you how. A spoon is something that we use to feed ourselves. A spoon is something that's hard and rigid, and it's already formed into a shape for its specific purpose. A spoon can be used for different things, but most of us use spoons to eat, to feed ourselves. So a spoon would be something that seems to be unchangeable, seems to be something that can't be altered. Okay, it's metal, and we know metal is hard, right? So there are certain situations in life that we experience where we don't feel like there's a way to change it. There are certain things in our life that once had a function and a use, and it no longer does, and we're still trying to feed ourselves with beliefs that are rigid, that are not flexible, with beliefs that were created with a purpose, and we are outgrowing the use that was given to us for this thing. Now, this spoon can actually do a lot of other things because you can also use it as a mirror. So the first way that you bend the spoon is by saying that, okay, this is something I have used to feed myself. It could be certain friendships that once fed you. It could be certain relationships that once fed you. It could be certain jobs that once fed you. It could be certain businesses that once fed you. It could be certain beliefs and values that once resonated with you and fed you and did something for you, and it may not be doing that for you anymore. And that's because we have entered into an alternate dimension. We're in a different timeline. The clock, which is the wheel of time, the celestial bodies, the way they are positioned right now, is offering us a rebirth. It's offering us a reset. It's offering us an opportunity to have a new life experience and to do things different. But that spoon is so hard. This is the way I have always fed myself. I can't just walk away from this job. I can't walk away from this career. I can't walk away from this title that I've been wearing. I can't walk away from this subconscious belief that I'm not worthy of the things that my heart really wants, because I've been trying to get them. I've been trying to feed myself through these things, and I don't feel sustained. I don't feel satisfied anymore. And when that starts to happen, especially around relationships, when you look at that spoon and you say, this once fed me, but now it feels rigid. It don't feel flexible. It doesn't feel like it's open to a new experience. It's open to a new function. And for so many people, relationships are changing, ending, turning into something else, because we created those relationships with values and beliefs that we inherited from whoever was the program that you received from the womb to age 7 or 8. This is when we start to create our perception of the world. This is when you create your ego. We're sponges during those formative years. During those years, as a child, we are naturally narcissistic. We naturally believe that everything that is going wrong is something to do with us. It's about me. It's something I'm doing that's creating this. And so as a child, we didn't understand life enough to know. And so a lot of us created businesses, we created relationships, we created careers, we worked certain jobs, we took on certain roles, we stepped into certain aspects of life experience from that. And now you don't feel as connected as you used to. You feel like something is missing. You feel like there's more for me to be experiencing in this life, but something is just like choking the life out of me. It's something not connecting. I feel flat. I don't wake up with excitement. I'm not excited about my day, because my day has been pre-formed with whatever it was I used to think and believe I wanted, and it's shifting. So what often happens in relationships when we go through, and I think a lot of us don't really think about awakening spiritually, how that's going to shape our reality, because our beliefs are changing. So if y'all been following me for a while, like I've been going through my spiritual awakening since 2006. And I started just uploading all of my experiences about this awakening through the process. And as I'm changing, sometimes you're not really factoring in the way things around you that were preformed by the old you, how it's going to change. And so you become someone different. We talk about rebirth, we talk about self realization, personal development, self actualization, self deification, becoming the God consciousness, becoming the Christos consciousness, knowing that I create my reality, even if I'm unaware of how I create my reality, knowing that reprogramming my subconscious beliefs is what's going to allow me to live the life that's in alignment with me. Sometimes that means that you will not feel sustained anymore by something that was once a blessing to you. Do we have room for that? Are we open? to that? Are we open to that change? Because most of us are either in jobs or situation or business partnerships or whatever it may be, and you don't feel the flexibility. You feel like everything has to be the same because a lot of us fear change because we fear uncertainty. And when you you can't predict what's going to happen next, you will likely subconsciously choose sameness, even if it doesn't feel liberated to you, even if it no longer feels like it's feeding you. And what happens is, if we don't make changes, whatever that situation is, it actually starts to pull energy from us just to get through the day, to get through the job, to get through that next conversation, to talk about bills, whatever it is. It almost feels like it depletes you. And there's a disconnect that you begin to feel with whatever was created in your reality that was from a space of you being in a different level of consciousness. And oftentimes, what I see, and I'm going to get into the part that may be triggering. Peace to you, Junkyard Jedi. Oftentimes, what I see is we're so afraid to disappoint people and let them down. We try to keep it the same for the sake of not rocking the boat, for the sake of not bringing uncertainty into somebody else's life, for the sake of not having to feel like you are a disappointment, for the sake of not having to feel like, because we have this thing in our culture that's so toxic that loyalty is sameness. You know, because people can sometimes feel betrayed when you change. And as you start to live your life from that space, anybody who only connected to you around your trauma, they're not going to feel connected to you anymore because you're starting to transcend the trauma. You're starting to reshape the way that you show up in life. And it's like, wait a minute, hold up now. You're doing too much. You're changing too much. You know, it could be food, diet, lifestyle. Like you getting rid of all of the stuff that I love to eat. Like we've been eating it. Why are you switching up all of a sudden? Even family will be like, don't invite them over. They go complain because we eating dairy and pork and whatever, whatever, whatever. And like you have to be able to know deep down inside of yourself that this change that I'm making is for me, and it's okay that it's not feeding you, but this is what feeds me. This is what feeds and nourishes my soul. And sometimes in choosing a higher timeline and making different choices that's going to shift the impact that we have in the world, everybody may not be happy with that. And so in order to bend spoons, has to be this level of surrender and openness, and not try to make anybody do anything just because it's comfortable. And for a lot of us who experience different traumas, we learn as kids, don't rock the boat. Don't do things to make people uncomfortable. Don't say things, don't speak truths that might cause dysfunction, even though what we're existing in is already dysfunctional. Don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Why are you bringing it up? And I know for me, my whole life I've been a truth seeker and a truth speaker, and I lost a lot of people in my life because of that. And being an orphan, being a lone wolf, having to oftentimes walk it alone, having to oftentimes give up a roof over my head because the truth that I'm speaking is making the environment that I'm in uninhabitable and too dysfunctional, too uncomfortable to be in. There were times where my choices was leading me to a space of having to walk paths all alone. And even in someone who is a business owner, I started all of this because I was changing. And I knew that other people were going to go through these shifts where they're learning how to bend spoons. You are the spoon. And the way that you formed is changing. And even though change causes fear, because the ego cannot predict what's happening and can't control it, those of us courageous enough say, but I have to continue to surrender. I have to take on a new form. The world is different. I can't navigate the world the way I used to. I can't navigate the world with the beliefs I used to have. It has to change. And so one side of the spoon is concave and the other side is convex. So there will always be multiple perceptions of one spoon, of one you, of one decision, of one situation. There's so many women right now who are awakening to a level of consciousness they may not be able to form words for because the spoon is bending. And it seems unnatural to those who have lived in the 3D matrix where everything is artificial, everything is distorted, everything is like a fawn mirror in a haunted house. Nothing is what it really is. Love feels like hatred. See, when a person starts to love themselves, they will start to remove themselves from conversations and situations that is no longer feeding them. And for people who are used to being able to call on this person and for this person to no longer be there for them, that can look like you're not being loving anymore. It could look like you're being selfish. It could look like you don't care about nobody else. It could also look like you forgot where you came from. But you're learning how to bend spoons. And to those who have an addiction to sameness, because they are afraid of change, you may appear to be the problem. You may appear to be the trigger. But the problem is actually the mirror. And so the way that we perceive situations, person, places, and things is based on the filter of our own mind. There's something called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is basically looking for answers, but I'm actually only open to receive answers that are in alignment with what I already believe to be true. And when that is happening, you're not bending spoons. You're staying in stuckness and sameness and stagnancy. And this is a natural thing to do. And information that comes up that may be completely opposite of what you think you know, we will reject it and push it away. And then we'll wonder, why my life not changing? It's because the opportunity presented itself for you to perceive the other side of the spoon. And yes, it looks different. And it may even feel different. But the thing about intuition is intuition bypasses logic and reasoning. It may not make sense logically. You may not be able to find a reason for it. But intuition is based on what I feel deep down in my gut. And so in relationships, the feminine dominant, the woman, a lot of us have had to be the same. Because if you start switching up too much in relationship, then your partner may feel less loved by you. If your perception changes, your partner may feel like what's occurring within you is stepping all over his expectations of the role that he wants his partner to play. And so a lot of us don't change. We don't grow because we're afraid to give out the message that we don't care. When I first posted the video, first it took a while for me to work through to get the courage to do so. But when I first uploaded the video talking about the patriarchy's effect on sex, marital rape, the effect of hip hop on the way that we have physical intimacy, the expectations that women have placed on them because of physical intimacy, I knew that I was presenting something that was not the norm. It wasn't the usual way of perceiving things. But if a woman no longer feels like having physical intimacy is an expectation where she must satisfy her partner, if she starts to heal herself and she realizes, I've been having sex not out of natural openness and because I feel safe to do so, but because I'm afraid to lose my partner. I'm afraid for my partner to cheat on me. And there are many different realms of the reason why this expectation was put on women. But that one thing alone will lead to a woman just opening her body up when she really is not feeling aligned to do so. And the effect that it has on her partner is he never gets the opportunity to learn how to self-regulate himself first, to create sacred space, number two, to be a safe person to be physically intimate with, because there is a level of vulnerability that is necessary for a woman to be penetrated. And this is something that hasn't been considered. Sexual safety within a long-term relationship or marriage is something that wasn't considered when these expectations were placed on us. And so a lot of women have been doing this and sacrificing their sanity, sacrificing their mental health, sacrificing their own inner child who feels like, oh, why are you doing this? You just said earlier that you notice there are some traumas that you really need to heal and that some of these things are locked within your body, in your womb. Why are you still doing this? The spoon is bending. What sex means to her is changing. These standards that she needs to be in place before she opens up may be changing. And society has programmed us to be so afraid of expressing something that is new, expressing something that is different, expressing something that's authentic to us but may not be accepted and understood by someone else. And so women just ignore it and they just do it out of obligation. And when a woman opens her body to be penetrated out of obligation, her whole nervous system says you are not safe.
And it says the truth. Where's my small bowl?
This is not in the kitchen. Ask Ernest if you need some help with it. This is not safe. Then the body begins to feel like this is not love. You're doing this out of obligation. And if that woman says to her partner, I have some traumas that I'm working through, and I really need to be able to work through my own body. I need to be able to figure out what's happening in my temple. My body keeps score. And every time I said yes when it really wasn't a yes, I was violating my own self. And my inner child don't trust me no more. Because I have become my own abuser. And I'm committing self-harm. Most women won't have that conversation. No. Because in society, the masculine has been programmed to be not only expectant of his woman to fulfill certain duties, but there's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of I need this from you to be emotionally regulated. This is how I relieve my stress. This is how I calm myself down. This is how I forget about all of the shit that I had to go through this week. And you're taking that away from me? And once the mind shifts into survival mode, fight or flight, this is the amygdala, the fear center of the brain takes over. This is the reptilian part of our brain. In that moment, there isn't capacity to see the pain that the partner may be in. And it's not just women, it could be men too, but I'm speaking to women because this is what I'm being called to do. Because women are the wombs in which every human being is birthed through this planet. And if we do not learn how to care for her, to honor her, respect her, and love her in ways that generations before us could not, we are cursed creators. And that's not okay. That's not okay. Society has programmed us to believe that it is a woman's responsibility to satisfy her man, and if he cheats on her, it's on her because you shouldn't have withheld your body from him. Even the texts that we thought were basic instructions before leaving Earth also commanded this. But it didn't factor in the trauma. And, I speak against monotheistic religion because I have lived it and I have experienced the outcome of some of these beliefs. And at some point, we got to bend that spoon too and say, this isn't me being an evil person. This is simply me saying, this no longer resonates as healthy. This don't feel like love to me anymore. Every research that I have been able to find says that over 60% of women have reproductive issues, autoimmune issues, depression, complex PTSD. What's happening? Why? Why? Why are indigenous women dying when they have their children? It's not just the hospital system that wasn't considerate to her and the natural way of having a baby in the natural environment. We have to be willing to look within ourselves and see, there's something that's very sterilized inside of us that doesn't support true connection and fertility. Go and ask him for me. Go ask him for me. It was on the counter, sweetie. Okay, go ask him. And so what happens is we carry all of these pains inside of us and burdens, and then we try to have children. Mr. Johnson was one of the first men to actually fight to take it to Supreme Court. His wife had to die for that to happen, y'all. She bled to death. The system that we grew up in was a system that actually was founded on racism. And it didn't go away. But we got to be accountable for the systems, the beliefs, the expectations, the needs that we have, that we expect our partners to fulfill. We have to be accountable, and we have to be willing to look at the other side of that spoon and say, does this spoon serve me anymore? Is this spoon feeding my partner anymore? Or has it become a weapon? Women are getting uterine cancer, fibroids, ovarian cysts, and the list goes on and on. And even with those statistics, and I may be speaking to somebody who's like, I've been through that, or I know somebody who's been through that, she's still expected to have sex. Pain or no pain, she's still expected. And at some point, if she doesn't, there's an expiration date. Most men would leave their women. Most men would become disgruntled and become very difficult to be around because he feels as if his needs are not being met. he translates that to mean she doesn't love me. She doesn't care about me. This is the scared masculine that's based in the scared ego. Now, I have compassion for both sides of this because we all have been affected by the toxicity of culture, music, entertainment, monotheistic religions, and not only that, but the foods that have masqueraded as chemicals affected our brain development. It affected our nervous system. It affected our circular system, our lymphatic system. It affected our neurology. It affected our hormones. A lot of us are depressed simply because we don't have enough serotonin. And a lot of that is connected to chemicals masquerading as food. It depleted us of minerals. It depleted us of vitamins. So there are many levels to this. I recently heard someone say that men are incapable of love, and I don't believe that. I believe that men are a product of the same system that women became a product of. And until that man heals his own feminine, until he can identify the difference between his masculine and feminine energy and whether or not it's sacred or scared, his love will be limited. His love will be watered down. If that man feels the pressure of growing up in the system of the many of the things that we have had to deal with, he's not going to be fully in his body. He's not going to be fully comfortable with himself. He may not be fully confident with certain aspects of himself. You know, a man saying, I got low self-esteem. That's like a fear for most men because of the expectation that has been placed on men that you're supposed to always be confident. You're supposed to always have pride. You're supposed to always have high self-esteem, because if you don't, you're less of a man. I find that a lot of women fear being perceived as weak, just like men, and it's because our scared masculine energy within us doesn't want to be seen as weak. And so we put on the strong face. We go out and we slay. We work, we hustle, we grind, and then we come home, we're already exhausted, and we try to take care of the house, responsibility, the bills, we try to cook, and then if we have partners, again, we feel this huge weight that if my partner is not happy, the household is not going to be peaceful. So I got to figure out a way to make that happen. The system, the 3D matrix construct is set up for us to continue to not only feel stress, but to put this pressure on each other to keep up with unrealistic expectations. Because if anybody truly transcended every traumatic event, every past life karmic debt, they would not be here in 3D. We wouldn't even be able to see them. They will be in a higher dimension completely. If you're here, it's because you're meant to bring change, which means bending spoons is equivalent to disrupting the system. Being courageous enough to ask yourself, am I operating in any area of my life that's low vibrational because it's based in fear? My fear of not having, my fear of being seen, my fear of failing, my fear of success. Code switching is a survival tactic. We had to learn how to do it. I can talk to you right here just like this, and then I can walk into a corporate meeting and have a whole different conversation. It was necessary to survive, but there is a point where we have to be able to put that down. And a lot of us are afraid to, and it's understandable. Because in this current climate right now, speaking up could absolutely mean losing support, losing funding, losing your relationship, losing friends. It could do that. Absolutely could. But if nobody is willing to disrupt the system, is willing to question everything in your life and ask yourself, why do I believe that? And is that something that's giving me life? Or is that something that's depressing me? Is that something that frustrates me? Is that something that may be the reason I feel disconnected? Is that something that is my authentic self? Or am I still using my false self to navigate the world because I don't feel safe being authentic? Before I jumped on to have this conversation, I was having a conversation with myself, and my I divine self was showing it to me like a Twinkie. And it kind of tripped me out for a minute. I was like, a Twinkie? I was like, I used to be tearing them Twinkies up. Anybody else been tearing up them Twinkies? I used to tear them Twinkies up, and now you couldn't even pay me to eat a Twinkie. But why? What did I notice about Twinkies that made me not want to eat them no more? Am I the only one? Okay, I say. I noticed that Twinkies never change. Their appearance never changes. Mickey D's French fries. Now, I know some of y'all probably had some. That's okay. It's no judgment. But that's another example. They never change. They can sit on the shelf for 20 years and look the same. At one point in time, that wasn't even something we were capable of observing. And then once we noticed it, then you had to be like, okay, hold up. What is in this shit? The reason why it don't never change. Preservatives. The ego preserves us in a state that we have existed in, which was developed in our childhood. We became Twinkies. We adopted sameness as safety. We took on the appearance of being sweet, something that you want to eat, when actuality, it was a synthesized version of who we really are. And the purpose of it is, I want to make sure that I look a certain way to other people. I don't want to look any other way. I need people to see me as successful. I need people to see me as accomplishing something, especially if you grew up in a family where it's like you ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't gonna. A lot of us heard that, like, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You just like your daddy. You just like your mama. You ain't gonna never amount to nothing. And so it was just like, I'm gonna prove you different as a kid, and some of us never came out of that. I need you to see me as the same. And then there's this thing where it's just like, you didn't change. It's like it's always negative. We have this subconscious collective belief that change is a bad thing. So we became Twinkies. And we tried our best to never change. Our relationships became Twinkies. I don't want anybody to see my relationship struggling, because then it may give the appearance that I'm a failure. I don't want to look like I'm less of a man because my woman not happy. I don't want to look like I'm less of a woman because my man not happy. Since when did another adult's happiness become our responsibility? And why are we okay with that? See, to actually actualize and live your best life, you must get rid of the appearances that were created to keep people off of you. That's really what it is. I don't want anything to threaten what I've been building. A lot of us don't walk away from careers. We don't walk away from jobs. We don't walk away from friendships. We don't walk away from our family. We don't walk away from relationships because there is this subconscious need to look the same, to look okay. And that's because a lot of us had to do that as kids. And so that became a place where we make our decisions from. If you listen to me today and this is resonating with you, like let me know in the comment. Give me a yes, or I shall relate to that. Can you relate to this? And I know some of us probably feel like I've transcended what other people think about me, but maybe it's an aspect of you that don't want to see you fail, that don't want to see you anything less than what you expect. In the spiritual awakening community alone, we have put so much pressure on each other to eat a certain way, dress a certain way. Now this thing where like if men don't have financial literacy, and I'm not talking about like basics, I mean like there's this pressure now for men to be so financially literate, to have so many streams of income, to be able to just dominate every aspect of currency. Like there's this pressure for that to happen. For women, there's this constant pressure. Thank you, Naughty Head Beats. Ashe. Thank you for letting me know. I want to know who I'm speaking to right now. Because if I'm not speaking to nobody and this conversation is not bending any spoons and causing you to see things different, it's pointless. And I don't want to waste my energy and my time. And what happened to us was our mind is the spoon. Can your thoughts bend and shift your reality? What was that thing that you thought you could not accomplish, that you could not do, that you could not have, that you could not be? What is that? What is your spoon? What is something that you've been trying to do, but you haven't been able to do it yet? Don't give up on it. Don't give up on it. Because we co-created everything that's in our life, even if we don't know how. And everything in your life that you would like to see change has to start with your mind. The oracle was showing those kids that their mind is what will allow that spoon to bend. If in our mind we tell ourselves we can't have, we can't do, we can't be, then our reality, just like the spoon, is going to reflect that. Is there anything that critical, doubtful voice inside of you is telling you you cannot be, you cannot have, you cannot do? We all have it. But you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to marinate in it. You can challenge it. And ultimately, this world, the way it looks right now, with the pollution, the toxins, the fires, these stealth-like acts of war happening, we do that to our own selves. And then we do it to each other out of fear of uncertainty, fear of change. A lot of us repressed a lot of anger. Every time I think that I finally released all of my anger, it's a new thing that I feel angry about. And that's okay. Anger is sacred. And when you know how to use anger, anger is fire. When you know how to use it, you don't have to burn down houses with it. You can cook with that fire and feed yourself something new. Instead of trying to not be angry, but be responsible with how you handle that anger, because it's fire energy. A lot of us have people around us who are a reflection of the 3D aspect of who we used to be, what we used to believe. Those people will not stay with you when you start to bend spoons, unless they're ready for that consciousness. We have to learn how to be okay with that too. Everybody is not meant to go with you. Some of us have people around us who feel so bad about themselves that they can't help but to feel envious about us, not even knowing that we have moments where we don't even think we can accomplish what we're doing. People can be looking at you and be jealous or envy of you and not even know that sometimes it's a struggle just for you to get up and get things done. This is the mind virus, vertigo. This is the sickness the Native Americans talked about of the mind. Fear is contagious. At the root of every negative emotion, every negative mindset, every negative dynamic that we use in relationship, every maladaptive strategy we use to get needs met in relationship, at the root of all of that is fear. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And what I find is what we're afraid of is usually the thing that we need to bend the spoon. Yeah. And I've been saying, if you are having difficulty with your finances, it's not a judgment on you. It can be a couple of things, but it usually comes down to this. If the way that you have been making money has a karmic energy attached to it, it's going to slow down to give you time to find a new path, to attract a new path if you're working with feminine energy. It's a blessing. It's not there to destroy you. Some of us, our money is fluctuating because we're looking at what's happening in the world. And as an empathic soul, we're absorbing the chaos. We're absorbing the fear of not having. Just walking in the grocery stores and seeing less food. And then the food that's there, the prices just increase so much. That alone, what happens is once you look at whatever is being projected out to you to create fear, once what you are perceiving connects with a personal fear inside of you, it becomes a subconscious pattern. And that pattern broadcasts out into your reality. So you can be using your affirmations, you can be meditating, petitioning, calling on the ancestors, even making business plans for things to happen. And it may not be happening for you because you are being called to something greater. And so our emotions become bridges to experiences. So if your emotion follows your perception of lack and the food supply going down, all of these things, if you connect emotionally to whatever you're perceiving, you now are on the bridge of that consciousness, and you're going to experience whatever is happening within that dimension and that realm. So in actuality, we've been trying to change our external environment to change our situation because we have not yet fully realized and been able to actually have a strategy that we consistently use to change our internal world. And this came to me because the business is so different right now, and I'm not really doing as well as I used to. And I don't want to just abandon it because I know some people are still in the middle of their courses and their challenges. And for those of you who doing the work, like, I want to salute you and celebrate you. I'm so proud of y'all. I'm not sending out emails every day trying to motivate you and keep you going, and you're still doing the work. So salute to you. If you bought a course or something and it's just been sitting there, like, this is the time now to go back in there. It don't matter how many days you miss or how late you are to get started. If procrastination is a thing, that's also a form of fear. Because you're afraid that if I tap into this and it doesn't work, I got a whole nother reason to be disappointed in myself. And I don't want that to happen. So I need sameness. I don't want to bend this spoon. It's safer for me to deal with the situation that I already know that I'm dealing with. But back to what I was saying, what bridge are you walking on? Because when I died and went to hell, what was hell for the people there, it wasn't the torture and torment that was being done to them by the entities around them. It was that, but it was more so over top of their head. I could see their thoughts. The eternal torment was despair. It's seeing something and you can't change it, and it's still playing out and happening. That's what hell was. Hell is a consciousness, it's a frequency. And a lot of people on the planet, even a lot of us, have lived it. And we have lived it long enough to be ready for something new. And as I was walking through there, I was screaming to people like, the way you are emotionally responding to what you see happening is what's creating the torment. And they couldn't hear me. And can't we relate to that? When you're saying something that you know could be helpful and people don't hear you, it's because they're in their version of hell. And you can't hear because you're not open to hear it. This is why having an open mind, having an open heart with something that has been demonized and we've been told it's not safe to do it. Even in the Bible, it says that the heart is deceitfully wicked above all. Who can know the heart but God? So it's like, I don't know my heart. I can't trust it. My heart is wicked. It's not just wicked, it's deceitful. And so right there, this was something I used to read and believe. I programmed my subconscious mind to believe that I could not trust my own heart. And you know what happened? I lived in intellect. I lived in my logic. I lived in what I could reason. And when I live in my left hemisphere of my brain, that's masculine, logic, reason, intellect, I'm completely shutting out creativity, intuition, imagination, visualization, my ability to relax and attract. So for me, it's been happening because I was using too much of my masculine energy to get things accomplished instead of resting in my feminine and allowing opportunities to come to me. And when I committed myself to embodying the feminine, my money went away. My money went away. And in the beginning, I felt like a victim. I felt like I was being attacked, and I realized I was being set free because my spiritual economy, the way that I was making money, is going away with the 3D matrix construct, which is the realm of hell. So it may be different for you. But for me, I was being redirected in the way that I use my energy. Um, so yeah, so I just wanted to share that, y'all. I'm not gonna stay on here too much longer. Um, yes, Ultra Instinct. The only time I felt the fire within was, yep, during intense anger. Absolutely. Use it. Use it. Okay? You use it to burn down the things that's no longer serving you. Absolutely. Anger is sacred fire when it's used correctly. Peace to you, Marie. Peace to you, Shadow Music. So what's happening right now, the reason why the food is becoming, it's just lack, the supply chains, the quality. See, we were in a grace dimension. We were in a dimension of grace for a little while because it wasn't enough of us awakening yet to actually destroy the old paradigm. So now that we can see it outside of us happening, it's a wake-up call for a lot of people. It'll have you trembling, nodding head beats. Absolutely. I actually had it happen today. I had just went and ordered like this some organic chicken that people raise, and they care for their animals, and the way that they get ready to get them ready for food is through a sacred ritual. They honor them first, right? How ironic it is that a lot of people eat meat and it's not done in a sacred way, and so it's just like, oh, eating meat is wrong, or sacrificing a chicken, oh, that's evil. But as long as we can do it to fill up our bellies, it's like it's okay. This is that old paradigm going away. And I'm not telling y'all to go and sacrifice no animals. I'm just showing you the insanity of the way we've been operating beneath the level of awareness we're being called to. And so I was so happy to finally have this chicken, because it takes a while. When you get chicken like that, it takes a while. You know, it's not just going to the grocery store and getting it. You got to wait till you get that call that it's been done and it's ready. And so when I got in the truck, I turned a corner and hit a pothole. Memphis is the worst for potholes. I don't know if y'all ever been here, but let me tell you, if you come here, you definitely want to watch where you're going, because your ass might drop into a pothole and go into what's the name of that world? Jumanji or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Being a whole nother world of potholes so big and deep. But I had hit a pothole and the chicken flew out of the bag, out of the box, like it was hot and ready. And I couldn't wait to get home and do my sacred prayers and honor it before I intake my food. And I just, in that moment, my hands was shaking, and I was like, why am I so angry about this? And because I didn't resist it and I didn't judge it, I realized that it was a poverty mindset, because it's just like, I just literally paid $30 for some chicken, one, and now it's on the floor board of my vehicle, and I'm pissed. I could always go back and get some more, but it triggered the lack within me, that poverty contract that is in my subconscious from going through times and not having food. And I turned into that kid again who knows I need to eat breakfast and lunch at school, because I might have a night where it's thin pickings. You know what I'm saying? And because I didn't judge it, I was able to just be with that anger and honor that part of me. Because as a kid, I mean, a lot of us, it wasn't like somebody was just like, your anger is sacred. You know, it's okay to be angry. Like, hell no, it wasn't like that. So I was able to be that mother for myself in that moment. And I'm going to get off this topic in a minute, but it kind of took me to another space. But I wanted to get back to the men. A lot of men have used women subconsciously as surrogate mothers. And this is the reason why the woman took on the responsibility of helping the man to release his stress. Because subconsciously, there are certain areas where maybe we needed love. We needed somebody to help us work through those intense emotions. We needed somebody to teach us how to manage stress. And we didn't learn it. And so subconsciously, we were looking for mothers. And our parents, or the lack thereof, became our partners. Maybe subconsciously, we were looking for fathers. And our lack thereof, our fathers in our lives became our, that's why partners and parents is the exact same letters, just moved around. These are the spiritual lessons in the way language teaches us, etymology teaches us. And so what's happening is a lot of women, because we're tired, because we're having reproductive issues, we're having painful periods, fibroids, cysts, all of these autoimmune issues, joint pain, chronic fatigue, headaches, and just naturally feeling unsafe within the body that feels like it's breaking down. Women who are starting to love themselves and are awakening are like, I just can't do this to myself anymore. And so as that's happening, I think that a lot of men who maybe didn't know that they had some trauma around their mother or whoever raised them as that mothering figure in their life is coming up now. And that's for our benefit. They weren't calling men baby boys for no reason. That wasn't just a movie. Mr. Singleton did not do that. Wait, was that John Singleton? I think it was. I know y'all will correct me on that if I'm getting it inaccurate. But that was about the culture. And Carl Jung talks about that. And it's like the man-child. Malidoma Soma talked about men in America not having rituals and ceremonies to become a man. And so it's not nobody's fault. It was just no elders and nobody there to help them step into sacred masculine energy. And so we all became a product of our conditioning, became products of our environment, we became products of our generational trauma. So if that happens to be you, whenever you find this video, just know like it's not personal. No matter who it is or what's happening, we're learning how to be with each other in a more sacred space. And on the topic of relationships and what I personally believe about marriage, what I believe about polygamy, polyamory, what I believe about being celibate, what I believe about sex, and what some of the new ways of being with each other is. I'm probably going to do a separate video about that, because yes, Glass Moon, it does feel personal. Ashe Marie, thank you for that. It does feel personal because the 3D matrix is based within the ego. The ego is the child inside of you, and to the child part of us, everything was personal. Even if your parents got a divorce and it had absolutely nothing to do with you, it felt personal. And anytime something feels personal, it's not a reflection of what's really happening. Remember, the spoon has two sides. It's a reflection of what's inside of you and the way it is being catalyzed by the external trigger. So anytime something feels personal, know that that's ego stepping in, wanting to protect you, but that's the kid version of you. And we have to remind ourselves, none of this is personal, it's spiritual. And even if you're dealing with an individual who appears to be toxic, trauma creates toxicity, period, point blank. And whether it's journeying, shamanic journeys, plant medicine, many things that I've tried, one thing that is a constant is that we are pure love. We are beings of pure love. We really are. And a lot of us are innocent. And we hurt one another because we're hurting our own self inside. And that's the worst form of dysfunction, trauma, toxicity, and pain is what's happening inside of here that nobody else knows about. And sometimes we happen to have an interaction with somebody where that internal pain comes out. It's always spiritual. Everything is spiritual to a spiritually minded person. And everything feels personal to a person who has not stepped into the frequency of spirituality. So, I love y'all. I'm going to get off of here. Ooh, we got a troll. Yay. What's up, troll? But I'm going to get off here. I thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. Just know that you love. Okay? Remind yourself you're going to need this. This is the apocalypse of the heart. There is an energy in the air that's pulling from our heart. So it don't feel safe to be in our heart. Hurt people. And so the next time it happens, the next time somebody says something that's hurtful, know that deep inside of that person, there is somebody who did not get the love that they needed and hadn't learned that the love that they need is inside of them, that the power that they need is inside of them. Black alien, I was homeless. I have definitely used drugs in my lifetime. I drank alcohol as well. Nothing you can say here is going to shame me or make me be embarrassed or feel bad about who I am. It took 2 near-death experiences and a lot of hard work to become who I am. Yeah. But I want to acknowledge the people who are offering positivity, because whatever energy you connect to is what you will create. And people who create negativity in other people's lives, literally, or life, they will attract that. And so if you don't like what you're attracting, don't try to change the external. Just address the inside and find a way to give more love to yourself. Make a list. Before I get off, let me give y'all a little homework. To be able to fight this, I want y'all to make a list. Okay? Make a list of what you love about you. I know it sounds so simple, but you're going to need this, because there is a frequency that's emitting through towers that's constantly keeping us in fight or flight and survival mode. And everything on our feed, listen to the word feed. Don't forget, this is a spiritual war. Everything showing up wants you to feel like you are not enough, you are bad, you are flawed, there's something wrong with you. So make a list of the things that you love about yourself, and it's okay if it's not but one or two things. It'll grow over time. But I want you to know that wherever attention goes is where energy will flow. And if you focus your attention on the things that you love about yourself, it might just be one thing. It could be, I love the fact that I'm resilient. I love the fact that when people try to trigger me and say things that hurt me, I know that it's coming from pain that's inside of them. I love that about me. I love that I'm able to see that it's not personal. We've all experienced difficulties in life, and some people have less tribe connections and less tools and support to navigate that. I love that about me. And it could be something on the surface. I like my skin, you know? So it don't matter what it is. Make that list, hang it up somewhere where you look at it every single day, because there's a specific week coming up that they're going to send out frequencies, and there will be coinciding external events happen that's going to be create confirmation of everything that we are reprogramming ourselves to detox from. Okay, hear me when I say this, and I cannot go into detail here, but on Patreon it's just $1, y'all. You get so much. You get years and years and years of channel messages and so much information. And I do a lot of work to find sources, cited sources, researchers, doctors, physicians, scientists, neuroscientists, physicists, quantum physicists. There is nothing that I have not been able to share that I know is going to help people. Because if you're here, it's because you deserve the truth. You want the truth. You don't want to live in a simulated holographic reality anymore. So that's on there. Because what's happening with our trees and our water is a perfect example. So make your list. Look at it every day. When you think of something new, add it to the list. When you get upset about something or something negative happens in your world, look at that list and just read it to yourself. Because what's happening in our world is simply a symbolic representation of what we have been coping with and what we've been trying to carry and ignore. Okay? And if we address the pollution within our own mind and our hearts, then what we see outside of us, it has no choice but to bend. I thank y'all so much. The Oracle just wanted to jump on here and share with you how to bend spoons. I spent 70 minutes on here and I only had 15, but it's out of the love of my heart that I'm willing to sacrifice the time to do this. And so I hope that you take this energy with you and go into your next day and carry this. You are the change that you have been seeking. And I believe in you. And I want you to believe in you too and know this. We got this. You ain't came this far to quit now. Namaste, Namaste. Good night, y'all.